Right then, I hope that by the end of this video you may see the Isaan women in a completely different way. Not because of them, mind you, because of us. Because of the stories we have painted over our own lives like a landlord slapping magnolia over black mould. Here is a question I will keep dangling for the next few minutes. What if your memories of home are not actually true? Go on then, roll your eyes. You are sitting there in your flip-flops sweating through another 36-degree Tuesday thinking, no, my old life really was that ghastly. The grey skies, the soul-crushing commute, the neighbour who reported you for trimming the wrong side of the hedge. However, here is a twist I am not answering yet. What if you need that misery to be true? What if you have quietly traded honest history for a sanitized narrative, scrubbing your Western past of its stability just to frame this humid exile as a triumph? Stick with me, you old rogue, because if you are living in Isaan, or frankly anywhere that serves Chang in a bucket, you are not just living in a new country. You are living in a fictionalized version of your own life, and that is a bloody expensive illusion. Let us get one thing straight. I like Isaan. The sticky rice is glorious. The sunsets look like someone set a mango on fire. Besides, the people, well, they tolerate my grumbling, which is more than my ex-wife ever did. However, here is the ugly bit we do not say over the third beer. Many expats are quietly rewriting their Western pasts. Not because they have to, because staying requires it. You see this at every barbecue where someone has grilled a pork neck into charcoal. Some bloke in a billabong tank top about 63 with liver spots like a leopard will announce, "Back in Birmingham, I was dead inside. Just work, rain, death." Besides, everyone nods because they all have told the same story. The Great Western Villain arc, where a missed bin collection becomes a proof of civilization collapse, where a slow internet day becomes a dystopian hell of red tape and broken dreams. We did not leave home, we escaped a prison, or so the script goes on. However, here is a question I promised to delay. What if the prison was mostly in your head? I will give you an example. However, before I do that, let me clear the air. This is a story inspired by things I have seen and felt, but is not my autobiography or anyone else's. You are hearing me, the real deal, not an AI voice. The pictures, yep, those are AI generated because why not let the machines do the heavy lifting? Disclaimers done, algorithms appeased, let us get on with the story. Last week I rang my old mate Terry in Manchester. He is still there, still driving the same taxi, still moaning about the same roundabouts. Nevertheless, you know what he said? "Ah, kid, the NHS just fitted my hip. Did not cost me a quid, and the grandkids came round on Sunday. 3 generations. Raining, obviously, but we laughed." I could not answer for a moment, because I had spent 5 years telling myself the UK had no soul left, no community, no warmth. Meanwhile, I sat alone in my concrete house in Udon watching the lizard hunt moths, having not spoken to a family member in 2 Christmases. We do not rewrite history because it is false. We rewrite it because the truth is inconvenient. The truth is, home was a mix of boring and brilliant, just like here. However, admitting that would mean admitting that our triumph is just a lateral shift. Besides, a lateral shift does not justify selling your full Fiesta and kissing your daughter's forehead goodbye. Let us break this down like a motorbike on the way to Nong Khai. There are three stages to every expat's psychological quotation act. Stage 1, the honeymoon. Everything is cheap. The women smile, the fruit tastes like candy. You announce on Facebook that you have finally escaped the rat race. Your mates back home hate you. Good. You feel like a god. Stage 2, the pivot. This happens around month 18. The smiles become transactional. The cheap rent comes with geckos shitting in your cereal. You realise your tie is still just hello and how much. Besides the rat race, you have just swapped one rat for another, but a slower rat, maybe, but one that still wants your wallet. Stage 3, selective memory overdrive. This is where the rewrite begins, because you cannot go back. Not financially, not emotionally, and certainly not with your tail between your legs. So your brain does something remarkable. It starts deleting the good bits of the West and invented bad bits. That quiet Sunday roast with your mum, forgotten. The library that let you read for free all winter, never existed. In fact, the fact that you could walk down the street without stepping over a stray dog with mange, irrelevant. Instead, you remember one rude bus driver from 2007. Then you blow him up into a metaphor for an entire nation. Why? The social pressure. Simple. Because if you admitted that your move was a lateral shift, trading one set of problems for another, you would lose your place in the tribe. The other expats would smell weakness. They would stop inviting you to the pool party. You would become the sad bloke who mumbles, "I miss cheese that does not sweat." Therefore, you burn bridges. Not literally, although there was that incident in Nana Plaza. However, psychologically, you make the old life uninhabitable so you never have to look back. Clever, is it not? It is also barking mad. Now, let us get specific about the villain arc, because this is where the grump in me is properly wound up. We take mundane inconveniences and call them catastrophic failures. A pothole becomes crumbling infrastructure. A tax form becomes Orwellian bureaucracy. A rainy Tuesday becomes seasonal affective disorder that nearly killed me. Meanwhile, here in Isaan, you would drive past a burned-out sugarcane truck, step over a cobra and wait 4 hours for a 7-Eleven delivery and call it charming local character. It is hilarious when you spot it. A mate of mine, Gary from Leeds, swears blind that the UK has no community left. His evidence, his old neighbour did not wave back. Meanwhile, in his village here, no one waves either. They just shout farang and point. However, Gary calls that authentic village warmth. Here is a trick we play on ourselves. We compare a curated tropical highlight reel to a gritty Western reality. Back home, you remember the damp, the bills, and the loneliness of a Tesco car park at 4 p.m. in November. However, you forget the library, the pub quiz, the fact that you could call an ambulance without selling your kidney. Here, you remember the sunsets and the silk pyjamas. You forget the food poisoning from a roadside stall, the 2 a.m. karaoke that vibrates your fillings loose, and the terrifying moment you realise there is no legal recourse if your landlord simply decides to keep your deposit. False superiority is a hell of a drug. It feels like freedom. It smells like damp squid. Nevertheless, it is just nostalgia run in reverse. Now we reach the sticky part, the emotional treacle, if you will. The first year here, cheap luxuries feel like winning. A maid's service, 20 quid. A meal out, 2 quid. a beer on every corner. You're basically a king on a pauper's pension. However, somewhere around year 3, the novelty curdles. You realise cheap also means flimsy. Your air conditioner drips, your Wi-Fi drops out every time it rains. Besides, those luxuries, the massages, the laundry, the endless noodle soups become routine. You are not a king, you are just a bloke in shorts who is too hot. The financial toll is real. You have sunk your savings into a house you cannot sell to a Thai person. You have sunk your dignity into a relationship that everyone whispers about. You have sunk your identity into being the expat, which, let us be honest, is just a fancy word for immigrant who refuses to learn the language. The emotional toll is worse because regret is forbidden. Admitting you are lonely, forbidden. Wondering if you would be happier having a pint with your old mate Terry, forbidden. Therefore, the mind does what it does best. It doubles down. It tells you, no, this is freedom. The boredom back home would have killed you. The silence here is peaceful, not isolated. However, you know the exact moment when staying becomes less about joy and more about shame. It's 3 a.m. You are awake, sweating through your second pillow. You open Facebook. You see your old boss's retirement party. Everyone is laughing. The pub looks warm, and you think, "What have I done?" Then you close the app, tell yourself they are all miserable, really, and book another cheap massage. That, my friend, is the sunk cost fallacy with a tropical tan. Here is a bit that keeps the lie alive. It is not just you, it is all of us. Expat social circles in Isaan are just like a cult without the cool robes. We reinforce each other's selective amnesia because the truth would collapse the whole card house. Try it. Go to your local beer bar tomorrow when Clive from Croydon says the UK is a socialist hellhole now. Lean in and say, "Actually, Clive, I quite like the library system." Watch the temperature drop. People will find reasons to check their phones. You will be labelled negative. Within a week, you are the person who has not really settled. We quietly ostracize the honest ones, not by shouting. Thais have a lovely word, kunjai, which means being considerate to avoid causing discomfort. We do the opposite. We just stop inviting the truth teller to the barbecue because selective memory is not just a personal defense, it is a community shield. It protects us from the growing realization that in 2026 we are more isolated than ever. The world moved on. Crypto came and went. AI writes poetry now. Besides, we are still arguing about whether the chicken in the market is fresh or just moving slowly. If we admitted that our past was not that bad, we would have to admit that our present is not that great, and that is a shattering thought for a man in elephant pajamas. So, what is the long-term damage? You might think it is harmless, a few white lies to get through the day. However, here is the cognitive dissonance that will eat you alive. You are ignoring rising costs in Thailand. Baht is strong, visa rules change every 5 minutes. The friendly local government is friendly until it is not. You know this, you read the news, however you push it down because acknowledging it would crack the narrative. At the same time, you are ignoring the good bits of your past, the stability, the rule of law, the fact that you could vote, complain and be reasonably sure the police would not ask for tea money. The final rewrite demands total rejection of your personal history. You become a man without a before, only an after. That is not freedom, that is amputation. I am not saying go back, God no. The cold alone will finish half of you. However, I'm saying stop lying to yourself about why you left. You left because you were restless, or heartbroken, or curious, or horny, or all four. You did not leave a dystopian nightmare. You left a suburb with decent buses. Besides, here's a radical bit. You can stay anyway. You do not need to burn the past to justify the present. You can say, I had a good life there and I have a different life here. Both are okay. That is the genuine future, not built on resentment, built on honesty. Besides, honesty, unlike a Chang Tao at 10 a.m., does not give you a headache. Oh, for the love of... Yes, I hear you, you little spotted git. Fine. Interruption accepted. Here is a twist. After I finished writing this little therapy session, I went to the market. I bought a pork skewer from a woman who has been there for 15 years. She smiled, pointed at my belly and said, "You happy now, old man?" And I thought about it, really thought. And I said, "Not happy, not unhappy, just here." She laughed so hard she nearly dropped the chili sauce. Then she gave me a free skewer and said, same but different. That is life. So maybe that is the real answer. Not triumph, not exile, just here. And that is allowed. You do not have to be a hero. You do not have to be a victim. You can just be a slightly grumpy old man who likes sticky rice and hates fictionalizing his own past. Now, if you'll excuse me, that lizard is back. Besides, I swear it just winked at me. If you made it this far without throwing your phone at a water buffalo, hit the like button. It will not fix your selective memory, but it will make the algorithm think you are deep. Comment below. What is one good thing about your home country that you have secretly erased from your expat story? I will read the best ones aloud next week, and yes, I will use my grumpiest voice. Subscribe if you want more uncomfortable truth served with a side of Isaan humour. Besides, remember, wherever you go, there you are, sweating. Bye-bye.